Hey guys, welcome back. So we've been through scene 1 and 2 of the Diary of Anne Frank. We are currently commencing scene 3. As before, I explained it to you guys. This is written in a drama form, which means it's written as a play. Each student has been assigned weekly a different character, so everyone gets to play a part. So let's come to our first question. Contrast and contradictions, notice and note. In paragraph 208 and 212, underline how Anne feels when her mother doesn't treat her like a grown-up. Highlight how she feels when her mother does treat her like a grown-up. Then come to the infer question. What does this contradiction reveal about Anne? What does it reveal about her relationship with her mother? Type in your answer. And let's move on to the following lines. From 213 all the way, remember it seems longer than what it really is because it's written in a play form, to paragraph 249. Analyze plot development. Annotate. In paragraphs 241 to 249, underline details that show how Anne teases Peter. Highlight what Peter says about Anne. Then come back to the online platform and answer the draw conclusion question. What do Anne and Peter tease each other about? What conclusions can you draw about Anne and Peter based on their actions, their speech, and the descriptions provided by the playwrights? Line 250. To line 296. Memory moment, notice and note. In paragraphs 294 to 296, highlight the words that signal that Mrs. Van Daan is about to share a memory with Anne. Then come back to the platform and type in your answer to the interpret question. How does Mr. Van Daan react when his wife begins to share her memory? Why does he react that way? Remember to check your spelling, guys. Capitalization, punctuation also. Okay, we are now in line 297 to line 302, and we come to an again and again notice and note. In paragraphs 300 to 302, highlight the words that Mrs. Van Daan's father told her to tell boys who got fresh. Then highlight the same words where Anne repeats them. Then come back to the online platform and answer the interpret question. Type in your answer to this question. Why might the playwrights have made Anne repeat those lines? Remember that repetition is when the author is showing importance or emphasizing the importance of something. And remember that a playwright is the writer of a drama or a play, just like the author is the writer of a book. Okay, moving on. We come to lines 303 all the way to line 358. Analyze plot development. Annotate. In paragraphs 348 to 358, underline details that show how Mr. Van Daan expects girls and women to behave. Highlight what Anne wants for herself. See, at this point in the story, we're starting to see the controversy between the characters. At the beginning, there was no tension. They only had a few months living together. Now, certain true colors are coming out, as we say. Now, come back to the online platform and answer the compare question. How do these differences highlight the conflict in values between Mr. Van Daan and Anne? We want to see the differences between what Mr. Van Daan believes girls should do or be and what Anne believes girls should do or be. Line 359 all the way to 365, and we come to a notice and note of Word of the Wiser. Highlight the reason that Mrs. Frank gives for why Anne must not answer back or behave rudely to the Van Dans. Once again, remember that Anne is an upcoming young lady and she has a different perspective on life than what her mother may have had from when she was growing up to when Anne is now growing up. Now, once you're done doing that, come back to the online platform and answer the infer question. What does Mrs. Frank understand about people that Anne has yet to learn? This has to do with experience. Mrs. Frank is an older person with experience and Anne is but a child. So what can she understand about people that Anne has not learned yet? Type in your answer and we move on to line 366 all the way to line 419. Analyze plot development. Annotate. In paragraphs 407 to 419, highlight the request that Mr. Crawler makes of Mr. Frank and the others. Then come answer the interpret question. Remember that a subplot can add a new conflict to a main plot. How does Mr. Crawler's request create a new problem for the residents of the secret annex? Type in your answer, checking your capitalization, punctuation, grammar, and spelling. Line 420, all the way to line 474. Contrast and contradictions. Notice a note. In paragraphs 473 to 474, highlight how Peter reacts to his father's words to Mr. Dussel. Now type in your answer to the compare question. What causes Peter's embarrassment? How does Mr. Van Dan's behavior contrast with how we would expect a person to behave? Basically, we want to know what causes Peter to feel embarrassed and how should Mr. Van Dan behave when somebody new comes to a group in difference to how he does behave. Type in your answer. We come to line 475. All the way to line 529. Contrast and contradictions. Note and notice in paragraph 525 to 529, highlight the lines that show a surprising contrast between how Mr. Dussel and Anne expect to get along and how they actually get along. And then we answer the interpret question on the online platform. What might explain this contradiction? I don't think that's too hard to answer, you guys. Mr. Dussel, a young man, a dentist with his partner, and Anne, 13-year-old girl, no life experience. That should not be hard to analyze. And then we come to line 530. Well, I know it seems pretty long, but it's a very interesting and intriguing story based on true events. So I hope you guys enjoyed reading that part. And I thought it would be good if we got to know a little bit more about Anne Frank. So I got this video for you guys to watch. Pay attention, please.
August 4th, 1944. In a house on the Prinsengracht in Amsterdam, 8 people in hiding are arrested. One of them is Anne Frank. Anne Frank is born in 1929 in Germany. Her parents are Otto and Edith, and she has one sister, Margot. The Frank family is Jewish. The economic crisis is causing a lot of social unrest in Germany, resulting in the rise of Adolf Hitler's Nazi Party. In 1933, the Nazis come into power and discrimination against the Jews increases. Otto and Edith worry about the rise of the Nazi Party. They decide to move to the Netherlands. Margot and Anne also arrive in Amsterdam. In Amsterdam, Anne attends the Montessori school. Her 2 best friends are Sanne and Hammerly. But then, in May 1940, the German army invades the Netherlands. The Nazis occupy large parts of Europe and start to discriminate against Jews everywhere. Anne and Margot have to switch to separate Jewish schools. One restriction is followed by another. For her 13th birthday, Anne receives a diary. This diary will become very important to her. Suddenly, on the 5th of July 1942, a letter arrives ordering Margot to leave for a Nazi labor camp. Otto and Edith have made secret preparations to go into hiding. Where would we go into hiding, Anne wonders. One of the first things she packs is her diary. Wearing as many clothes as possible, the Frank family leave their house. The hiding place is the annex at the office of Anne's father. Otto and Anne tidy up the annex. Anne brightens up her room by sticking images to the wall. The people in hiding are helped by Victor Kugler, Johannes Kleiman, Miep Gies and Beb Voskuil, who all work in Otto's company. The Frank family is soon joined by 3 other people, Herman and August van Pels and their son Peter. Anne also welcomes Fritz Pfeffer. Fritz brings bad news. All those deportations. In her diary, Anne writes about life in the annex, about the arguments, which can be fierce, particularly between her and her mother. And also with Fritz, there are never-ending disagreements. Anne writes of her nightmares and the fear of all in the annex to be discovered. In their 2nd year of hiding, Anne and Peter fall in love. On the 4th of August, something terrible happens. They have been betrayed. They are arrested.
So I hope that video also helps you guys a little bit with the story. I hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait to keep reading and learning more about Anne Frank. Have a great day, guys. Bye.